Welcome back to LandVerse, the channel where we dive deep into the world of land flipping and teach our clients how to make a 6- and 7-figure income through scaling a land business. Today I'm going to tell you guys a story about how I made $300,000 on one land deal. But first, I'm going to answer a question. I've been getting a lot of questions about our business and how it's different from assigning a contract or wholesaling real estate. My answer to that is it is very different from wholesaling real estate because we're actually buying the assets and reselling them on the market. So I'm actually going to close escrow on a property before I go and actually sell it. I'm buying it completely and then I'm reselling it. I haven't assigned a contract in years. When you actually buy the property, it gives you so much more control over the asset than you would have had if you just assigned a contract. When you assign a contract, it really gives you only one exit strategy. When I actually buy the property and take possession or take title of the property, I have way more control over what I'm gonna do with the property from there. Now, we usually end up selling it for way more money, but also please understand that your profits and margins are so much larger when you buy the property because you don't have a buyer that's gonna be looking at your assignment fee saying, you can't make $30,000 on this deal. You can only make 10. I came from the wholesaling world and I actually had that issue where people were saying, 10,000, that's it. You can't have any more than that. Obviously, those are bad people to work with, but you just completely avoid that when you buy the asset. Now, you might be worrying about I don't have $50,000. I don't have $100,000 to buy this property. Well, you're in luck because we fund land deals. We fund land deals at any price as long as it's a good deal. If you bring me a good deal that has good numbers on the deal, I will fund the deal for you in full. I'll buy the deal, we'll JV the deal, and we'll go and close on the deal, and then we'll sell it. I'll take you through the process of getting it sold start to finish, and I will use all of my resources and all my connections to make sure that they sell fast. It's my highest priority to make sure that anyone who watches my content fully understands how to flip land start to finish. This was a property that we bought for $350,000 and sold for $600,000 on the market. So actually, after expenses, it was a $250,000 profit deal. This property in particular was in a prominent area known as wine country, Sonoma County. And I grew up a few hours from that area, and my mother actually loves wine. So I knew about this area and I knew that property was very expensive in this area. So I was constantly trying to find larger 6-figure deals in this area and going through the data processor, looking at comparables. My goal actually originally was to buy and sell a vineyard because I didn't really know much about it. But I also saw a lot of recreational property and a lot of buildable property that was in the area was selling quite an expensive price. So I filtered it out so that the list was absentee owner, meaning that the owner doesn't actually live on a property, which usually we have that anyways, but I also put out of state. Ultimately, what I was looking for in this data set was an out of state owner. I know if there's an out of state owner and they're not an entity or a single person, then they're more likely to be motivated to sell their property. Now, this lead came in and this guy was actually living in England. So his daughter received our marketing for him. She called him in England, and then he called us from England. It was the craziest thing ever. I was like, you're calling me from England? And he had moved from England. So this individual had actually gotten a divorce, packed up, and moved to England. And he called us saying that he wants to sell the property, but he wants to be able to sell it at, I think we had originally offered him around $175,000, and he called saying that he wanted $350,000. So I ran the comps and the numbers just made sense. He had also actually had this for sale for $900,000. I think in 2012, he had it for sale for $900,000. And I remember just being like, wow, so he wants $350,000 now. What is wrong with this property? I was thinking that something was wrong with the property. So we ran comps, we talked to locals in the area to make sure that what can we really sell this for? So a local came back to us and said she thinks we can sell it for $800,000. And I wasn't too confident in that number, but she's a local, she lives there, she sold property there. So I said, okay, $800,000. We ended up getting this property under contract for $350,000 and closing on it for $350,000 with the seller. Now, we had a listing agreement signed with this agent at $875,000, and we were gonna kind of see how it would work on the market. This was one of my early on land deals, so I'm thinking I'm about to make $500,000-$600,000 grand off of one land deal. What? That's insane. I was like, this is crazy, off of one land deal. But also, please keep in mind, I did the research for this, hours and hours and hours of research. There's an element of luck when it comes to this, but there's also that element of intense inherent research. So you can literally look at data sets, you can look at data points, you can look at the market and say, you know what? I see an opportunity here. There's $200,000 right here for me if I send mail to this specific area. So that's what you guys have to understand. Yes, there's an element of luck to this. There is. But I will also say that if you consistently send out mail and you consistently understand how to do research and you talk to locals and you understand markets, you understand utility of property, If you understand those simple things, you will make millions of dollars in the land flipping business. You have to be able to understand those things though, and on top of that, having the conversations with these people. I had to set it up so that this seller could go to the US Embassy in England to get this deal done. So you guys gotta be willing to do that. This guy went to the US Embassy in England to get this deal done. He went and signed the papers in England at the US Embassy. That's what it takes to be successful in this business. So we ended up closing on this property at $350,000. We listed it at $875,000 with the broker. We took drone shots of the property. We took photos of the property. We tried to make sure that the marketing was the best it could possibly be because this is a premium product. This is a premium property. $875,000 in Sonoma County, in wine country, prominence, elegance, opulence. That's what we're promoting. That's what I'm promoting to this area. There were a few problems with this property though, and the fact that it was a little bit sloped. The property had access, but the access was just a little bit, it wasn't what you'd be looking for if you're trying to build, maybe a multi-million-dollar house on a property. It wouldn't be your first choice, right? So I remember there being a gate. There was a gate going into the property, and then when you actually get into the property was overgrown. And we didn't know this until after we listed it, because the guy hadn't been there in years. So we didn't know that it was overgrown. And then the realtor didn't actually walk the property because she was so confident. She was like, this is gonna sell for $800,000, like easy, like 2 months, easy. So her confidence was my misstep, honestly. Like her being that confident, I was that confident too. I was like, hey, well, you're the local, you live there. I believe you. She didn't actually go there until she listed the property so she could take pictures. And then I get a call saying, hey, this property is overgrown. I can't get to the property, so I don't know how to get to it. So now we're freaking out. I'm trying to call the neighbors. Keep in mind, this property is actually listed on the market now. And I am like, whoa, like, okay, so this money's just been invested, 350 grand, great. You're telling me it's overgrown, you can't get to the property now. Okay, so I remember just thinking, all right, well, call the neighbors. What do we have to do? So she starts calling the neighbors, making sure there's access easements and all this stuff, which was already insured to us by title. All we had to do was go and get an excavator. So an excavator is someone who goes in and clears up, branches, bushes, all that stuff. They clear it out and make sure that, all that stuff is all good. I'll put it all up here, but I think we paid $3,000 to $4,000 for the excavator, and they cleared out all the shrubbery, all the brush, everything like that. So there was a clear path to walk to the property. But there was still a lot of things overgrown on the property. I think I still might have videos from that time, and if I do, I'll put them in here. So we start getting leads on the property, but all the sentiments are that, hey, it's too high. This is where I learned that the way you make money in this business is by pricing aggressively and making sure that your acquisition prices with your sellers are aggressive enough and low enough to where you can drop your price and have a lower price and still have a crazy profit margin. A lot of people will mess up and offer too much money for a property just because they're like, I gotta get a deal, but it's not about that. You wanna make sure that you can be the cheapest priced property in the area. We're not trying to be Louis Vuitton. This is Walmart. This is not Louis Vuitton. We're trying to sell wholesale properties. We're not trying to sell the most premium $50 million properties. This game is a game of dropping the price, being aggressive with your pricing, being the lowest in the game, and selling the properties fast. The faster you sell your properties, the more cash you'll make. And this was my first mistake with that. I was trying so hard to max out that specific property. The property ended up sitting for 6 months. Now, we dropped the price to $700, no offer. We dropped the price to $650, no offer. And I remember calling the agent and saying, hey, look, we need to sell this property. Let's drop it to $600,000. She said, oh, I don't really know. No, I'm not sure. I don't know if we should do that. And, She dropped it to $600,000. Within 24 hours, we had a full priced offer. So this is what you guys have to understand. The market will tell you everything you need to know about your property, and you need to listen. If you don't listen to the market, your property will always sit. I promise. Your property will sit for months if you don't listen to the market. Okay, market's telling me something. Let me listen and let me drop my price now. Let me be more aggressive. Did I make sure with the seller that I negotiated to the best of my ability to where now I can go and drop the price on the market? Did I do that? That's what you have to ask yourself. And if the answer is no, then you're not gonna make consistent money. And that's what you have to understand about the land game. So we ended up dropping the price to $600,000. We got an offer within 24 hours, we got an offer for $600,000. The deal ended up closing within 30 days. We make this amount of money, but the biggest learning lesson, like I said, is to make sure that you're aggressive with your pricing. Because imagine if I would have listed this property at $600,000 to begin with. What that tells me is that at least within 45 days, we would have had an offer for $600K because that's what the market wanted to pay for that property. So you need to time your pricing correctly so that you can sell your properties right away. That's the lesson in this story. If you don't price your properties correctly, they will sit. I believe the buyer that bought this property ended up building on it. We don't end up keeping track of these properties because we're a very buy and sell game, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. So I don't keep track of what they did, but this is a learning lesson. If you want to do big deals, understand that they are out there and they exist. It takes an inherent amount of research, speaking to locals, and being consistent with your mail. If you do those three things, you will find big deals. And it really only takes one good deal to change your life, or a series of good deals to change your life for the better. Also, understand that you must listen to the market. Listen to what the market says. Don't ever try to outprice yourself on the market, because you and your cash flow will suffer in this game if you don't listen to the market. Please understand that local realtors and brokers are great. They're fantastic, but sometimes they don't understand our game. So when they don't understand our game, it's your job to make them understand that I need to get this property sold in 90 days or less. No more than that. All of my properties that I hold, I want to make sure that I get them sold in 90 days or less. If you want me to do more deal breakdowns like this, leave me a comment below. Make sure to follow me on all my social medias and join our free Discord. Like and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching LandVerse, and I'll see you next time.